I think publishers could do a much better job of preparing authors. I just assume mine would be in there, and you just assume it'll be. I don't know if you found the same, but you just kind of assume if you have a book out, it's going to be in shops, but
Yeah.
it isn't necessarily going to be in shops. So I've just found out last year that I got diagnosed with autism, basically. I think
Okay.
people would be quite surprised if they knew how low most advances are. I think writing romance is really hard. I actually gave it up because
Oh,
I couldn't figure out how to make the stories work anymore. Most things in the book are already happening or have
yeah.
happened somewhere else in the world recently. So I was so naive, just so naive. I grew up in rural Ireland in the Troubles, so it was like 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Really nothing to do. So I just read a lot of books. I find rejection really devastating. It absolutely can happen here.
Have
This
them
is
all
going to
out there.
be 28th, number 28, I think. So not every opinion needs to be aired, I believe. It's fine to just think it and not say it online. Yeah, so it's about 3 different couples, really. Arguably 4. It's there's a character called Alison who is a detective that has popped up in some of my other books, The Other Wife and The Push. And she was only a minor character in those, and I just really loved her. She just kind of took over.
I'm Nadine Matheson, host of The Conversation, and I know you're keen to get on with the show and watch my conversation. But before we do, I have one small request. Can you please hit the subscribe button? You might already have done so, but if you haven't, hit the subscribe button now. Takes a second, less than a second. Right, thank you very much, and let's get on with the show. Claire McGowan, welcome to The Conversation.
Hi, nice to see you.
You too. Can I just say something before we even get into you and your books and everything? Today, it popped up on my memories that my debut came out 5 years ago today, and I
Mm.
was thinking, oh my god, that means it was like 10 years ago when I did the crime writing course and
Yeah,
met
I
you
think
for
it
the
was,
first time.
I think it was 2012, was it?
16, since
2016?
2016.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It
Yeah,
started in
can't. Yeah,
2012. Yeah, you were on the 16 course, yeah.
yeah. And I just think the
Okay.
world has this a funny way of
Yeah. So
working out.
my first book came out as about a week or two ago. Also, that was 2012. So yeah, what's that? 14
Oh.
years ago. That was my debut. Mhm.
How does it? Well, this is not the question I was going to start with, but when you think back to 2012 and your first book coming out, and you look at where you are
Mm.
now, I couldn't even. I was trying to count how many books you'd written, and I was like, Claire's done so
Mhm.
much because she's also done books under a different name as well.
Yeah.
But when you think back over the years, how does it feel?
It's funny because I was so naive, just so naive, and I can tell that from I quite like to look back at my Facebook memories just to
Yeah,
like see what I've been up to. And I was so obsessed with the book. I was like posting about it every day. I was really worried what people were going to say, and I think I had all these ideas of how it was going to be, and that's all gone now. Now I just like I'm quite sad about it. It comes out, it does what it does, and
yeah.
yeah,
Do you
very
wish
very.
you'd known that in the beginning?
Yeah, I think publishers could do a much better job of preparing authors for what it's
Mm,
going to be like. And because for years I'd been sort of traveling in and out of Charing Cross station, and I would go into the Smiths there and look at the books when
yeah,
I was waiting for a train. I just assumed mine would be in there, and you just assume it'll be. I don't know if you found the same, but you just kind of assume if you have a book out, it's going to be in shops, but
yeah.
it isn't necessarily going to be in shops. So I wish I knew that. Yeah.
Did you think it was going to be in the charts as well? Because I didn't. When I think back, I didn't really understand how the charts works. It sounds like a really naive and
No, I
silly
didn't understand
to
either. I
say,
had no clue.
but I
Yeah.
just thought you'd just be there.
Yeah, and it was a long time before I figured out how those things work, that you have to pay to
Mm.
be on the stands in bookshops and things, and just to how the kind of top 10 best-selling chart actually works. I had no
Yeah,
clue.
no, none at all. So Claire, this is going to be my first question. When did you know that you were a storyteller?
I think always. I think I was one of those children that just knows they're a writer, and I think I started writing my first book when I was probably 7 or 8. So I was a big reader. Grew up in a house with a lot
Mm,
of books. Also grew up where there was nothing to do. I grew up in rural Ireland in the Troubles, so it was like 80s and 90s.
yeah,
Really nothing to do. So I just read a lot of books and quite quickly started thinking, oh, I want to do this. But I don't think there was much kind of encouragement or belief locally that that was the thing that someone could do.
Yeah.
I'd never met anyone that did any kind of job really in the arts, so I just sort of thought, well, that's a pipe dream. But
Yeah, we always talk about it a lot, and it comes up a lot on the podcast how, especially if you grow up, depending on where you grew up and how you grew up, like you don't realize that being a writer could be a job. Even if your school teachers know that you're good at English and you love books and your family could see that, no one could actually sit there and say to you, this is actually what you could do
yeah,
as a career, and let's find a pathway for you to get there.
because they try and manage your expectations, I suppose, don't they? But I'm not
Yeah.
sure how helpful that is really to manage children's expectations if that's their dream. And like people do it all the time. So I suppose what's
Mm,
difficult is to have a career writing
yeah.
books where you don't do anything else. That is quite difficult. So, to
Yeah. So how did you get here?
be a writer.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I think I was sort of a frustrated writer all the way through my teens. I wrote a lot in my teens. There wasn't much else to do, as I said.
Mm.
And sometimes I look back on some of those ideas, and actually they were pretty good. Like they were pretty solid ideas for a sort of 15-year-old in Ireland, pre-internet. Like I'm not saying I could have pulled the book off, but like it was a good idea. So I was writing like a World War II book. I never left Ireland at this point. So that's quite ambitious. And it was set in like Singapore and all over the place. And it was
I
like,
was
yeah,
going
that
to
was,
ask you, were you writing? Because you
that was
never left Ireland, but were you writing about other places,
yeah,
or
yeah. I
were they
was
just
very, just
yeah,
very heavily influenced by whatever I'd been reading. So,
yeah,
no, maybe not that original, but I think they were solid. They were solid ideas. They could have worked if
yeah?
I'd had the
I love
skills.
I love the idea though, because it's just what we do, isn't it? When you read widely, and even when you're watching TV and stuff, that automatically, like, I think the first thing you write is not even necessarily where you're from.
Hmm.
It's about the other places you've discovered through
Yeah,
your reading.
yeah. And then all through my 20s, I was kind of traveling a bit, and then I was doing a job and doing different jobs in the charity sector. And just working in offices is really not for me. It's just I really hated it. So I was
Yeah,
always writing on the side, and then I suppose it was probably in my late 20s when I finally thought, oh, I have to actually show someone this. So I spent a couple of years writing a book, which I guess was like literary fiction. I didn't really know what it was or what to call it,
mm,
and just learn how to write a book doing that, but with a lot of mistakes. It took me about 2 or 3 years probably, and huge amounts of deletion. I just had no sense of like what should be in the book and what shouldn't be in the book, like what scenes, what story bits. So started setting that out. Started getting some rejections, but like nice rejections, like encouraging
yeah,
ones. And then in the meantime, I just wrote something else because I was quite impatient and still am. And just so happened, like, a friend of mine sent me a link and she said, I found this writing competition and it's closing tomorrow. I thought you might want to enter. And I just thought, well, should I send the old book or should I send this new one? I've literally just finished. And I was like, new one, send it. And that came second in the competition and was in the bookseller. So I started getting like
oh,
agents
was it?
writing me. Yeah, it was just the competition was just mentioned in the bookseller, which I'm sure everyone listening knows is the trade mag of the publishing
Yeah.
industry. And then some agents started contacting me, so that was kind of how it happened. Just got an agent from that, and then they saw the book. And
'Cause I was gonna say, 'cause I can't remember who I was talking. This is I was talking about perimenopause earlier. I can't remember who I was talking to last week. I was talking to someone last week,
I can't remember what I
and
did next. I have to look at my diary.
it's so bad. It's rubbish. I can't remember for the life of me who I was talking to. But we were both saying that going back to school, and I remember being good at English lit. I think we were talking about Wuthering Heights. I think that's probably why it even came up. But being good at English literature and in doing English language, but no one taught you. I suppose the only word I can think of is like the mechanics of storytelling when it
Hmm.
came to creative writing. So even when you are writing on the side and doing bits and pieces, you're just you're just telling a story. You're not you don't know about maybe about plot and structure and I was going to say point of views. I don't know about point of views.
No, but you probably did know, but you just didn't know what to call it because we've all read
Yeah,
so much that we kind of do know these things, even if we can't necessarily describe them.
yeah. So when you're that's what I was thinking. So when you're writing or you're doing your work in the charity sector and you're writing, and it sounds really offensive to say, but did you know what you was doing, or were you just it's just all about the story?
I definitely didn't with the first book. I was, yeah, loads of mistakes with that one. And
Mm,
I think there was something like shifted in my head where I was, for a long time, I would write, but it would sort of be like like journaling. And then to make that
yeah.
shift from, okay, this now I'm writing fiction. This was journal, this is fiction. That was quite difficult. That took me a number of years to be like,
Good.
I was self-conscious as well of like, okay, now I'm writing fiction. You know, it's made
Wasn't
up.
it?
Look, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm typing. It's made up. That sort of held me back a bit, I think. So
Because I was thinking it's probably not even true though, that you'd probably be more self-conscious with journaling. But I suppose journaling's just for you, isn't it? It's not for the world to see, unless you plan
yeah,
to publish your memoirs later. But with fiction, there is an intention at some point that people will see it. So you are going to be more conscious and more aware of
yeah.
even just question whether it's good or not.
One thing I had very poor knowledge of, and I think a lot of people do when they start out, is the market genres. So
Yeah.
I didn't know, even though my second book, the one that got published, was crime. I didn't know it was crime. I wasn't thinking of it in those terms. So I
Really?
do kind of wish I'd known a little bit about the industry. I was very clueless. So
Yeah.
it would have been helpful, I guess, to do the kind of course that you did.
Oh, it was so good. I always say on this podcast that I didn't, for the life of me, I can never remember who it was that came in and did one of those like masterclass talks.
Hmm.
And she's the first person who said it will take 2 years if you're signed by a
Oh,
publisher for your books
it sounded like
to get
maybe it
on
was
the shelf.
that sounds like the kind of thing Erin would say. Maybe was it Erin?
Was it Aaron? I can't
Maybe.
remember. But I just remember it sitting in my head and thinking, what? What do you mean 2 years? And all of us like, what do you mean 2 years? Like you wrote the book, you've taken the book,
Yeah.
it's ready. You just pull it out there. But no one really explains to you the process.
No. I think mine took, so I wrote the book quite quickly, the one that became the fall. I wrote it in a couple of months, and like 3 4 months. So I
Mm.
probably wrote it, and it was probably written and published within less than 2 years. So that's quite unusual. But
Yeah, no, that is.
mm.
What did you think you were it sounds so horrible. But what did you think you were writing when you wrote that debut?
Oh,
Well, the
probably
book
some
that
kind of
became your debut.
literary novel again, because it was about a murder, but it was all about like different people drawn together across society and in a
Mm,
particular area of London, like around sort of Camden where I was living.
yeah.
So probably like didn't center the mystery enough, even though
Were you
it is a whodunit, but
mm.
it's not really the center of the book.
Were you surprised then when the agents, I suppose it's going to be the agents and publishers said, "Well, this is a crime book."
Yeah, it was actually the publisher that said, "Oh, this is crime. Obviously, this is crime," and I was like, "Oh, is
You're
it?"
like, "Is it?"
I don't know how I feel about that. And I suppose my understanding at that point of what crime fiction was very limited, so I didn't
Mm.
really realize that probably a lot of things I had been reading were crime. Because you don't really,
It's
when you're a
so
reader, do you? You don't necessarily think, "Oh, I read this kind of book or that kind of book." You just think that looks like a good book. So,
yeah, that's the thing because I think because I write crime, people just assume that's all I read is
mm,
crime, and it's not. Like I always say, I'll read anything. And I always say, like one of my favorite books is Middlesex. What's his name? Jeffrey
usually,
Eugenides.
yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite books. And I always say, Joy Luck Club. I just love Buying Me Tan. It's like one of my favorite books. They're
Mm,
nowhere related
no,
whatsoever. But it's not about at the time. It's not about the genre. It's just about whether or not it's a good story and the
yeah,
characters grab you and the dialogue grabs you and setting, and they've done a good job of
hmm,
enticing you.
yeah.
So how when you said you was getting rejected, how were you? 'Cause we always talk about rejection a lot. How were you able to get through the rejection?
I find rejection really devastating.
Oh,
It may be because I've just found out last year that I got diagnosed with autism, basically.
yeah.
I don't know if I don't think we've talked about this. I'm just kind of still coming
No.
to terms with it a bit, and obviously, rejection sensitivity is part of that. So I don't know whether that's what it is, but I've always found rejection to be like absolutely devastating. So it took me 6 months to send my first book out. It was finished, and I couldn't bring myself to send it because I knew that I would get rejected.
Yeah.
And then I did get rejected a couple of times very quickly by the agent, and that was actually kind of okay. It was the other one. There was somebody who had it for 6 months, and then it was like, yeah, this is great. We'd love the rest of it, and then just didn't reply for like 6 months. That was quite difficult. And of course, nowadays a lot of people just don't even get replied to by agents at all, which is I think is terrible. But I
Yeah.
suppose they don't have time, but yeah, I suppose it is something you can get used to, but it still kind of
Do
hurts
you
every
think?
time.
I don't know if it's easy. Well, whether it would have been easier to have if it's like have like those 2 or 3 rejections all at once, or to have the waiting.
I think the waiting was
I,
worse because it was the
the
hope.
waiting's worse.
In the meantime, I was like,
Yeah.
well, what should I be doing? Should I write something else? I did write something else because I was sort of impatient, but I also
Yeah.
didn't know that it was okay to query different agents at the same time. So I
Oh,
just kind of thought, well, I have to wait for this person to get back to me before I can ask anyone else, and that was 6 months. So
it's the thing. There's so much that you don't know, and it's not always like the big, massive things. Like,
mm,
well, how do I? I don't know. How do I really write in the first person if I'm looking at this certain scene? It's the little things like, oh, can I query more than one author? Sorry, author, want more than one agent
yeah,
at the same time? Can I tell them that, look, another agent has asked for the full manuscript while I'm still waiting for you? It's like, can I do all those little things? Like, no one tells you.
yeah, and people get so worried about it and so kind of caught up in like, is it okay to do this? Is it okay to do that? Is it okay to have a prologue? That used to be a big debate that people were always having.
I love a prologue.
Yeah, me too. Like
I've
it's so
always got a
stupid. Like, at
prologue.
some point, someone's given this advice that you can't have a prologue, and that's just such terrible advice.
I saw it. It was, you can't have a prologue, you can't have an epilogue.
Oh, I love an
That was the
epilogue.
latest one. I know. It's just that's why I always just think whenever it's always on threads for some reason. But when people give like really just ridiculous advice, I'm like,
Yeah.
just ignore it and just do what you need. Just do what you want to do.
Yeah, I've been on panels before with other authors that are giving advice, and I just kind of look at them like, what? That's terrible advice. I listen to that. Like somebody said, oh, you have to plan your whole book out in advance. You can't write a word till you've planned it. And I'm just saying, okay, well, I've never planned any of my books, so
You just
you
the
know,
story just comes to you and just right. Well, I do. I mean, I do plan, but I think that's just
yeah. I
me.
kind of wish I could, but it doesn't really work for me. I do a sort of hybrid of like I never know what the book's going to be, and I can. That's why pitching is so difficult because I'm always just kind of like, well,
It's a book.
it's going to be this, but trust me, just trust me. I can do it. I know I can do it. And then I sort of have to write my way into it a bit and figure out the
Yeah.
viewpoint. And at some point, and then I will start thinking about, okay, what's going to happen in the middle. So like at the minute, I'm trying to finish off a book, so at that kind of difficult stage where it's like 60,000 words. I really have to wrap it all up now, and I don't really know
Oh,
what's happening. So I can tell I'm
that's
just
me.
writing around it a bit. So I'm spinning my wheels a bit. So
That's me. I'm writing a book now, and I read before I was saying you earlier, like I came down for migraine, so I had to basically haven't written anything since
mhm.
last Tuesday. Yes, it's so a week. I haven't written for over a week. And but when I looked at how many words I'd written, I was like, oh, and 70,000 words.
My
I am
gosh.
nowhere. Yeah, it sounds good, Claire. I am nowhere near. Like it's a good bit. I'm like halfway. I've gone past the midpoint. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is just ridiculous. Because I was trying really, really hard to get it to like 90,000 or
I
something.
think
And
sometimes it's like banging on a ketchup bottle. It comes eventually. So
yeah,
just got to keep
I'd
going.
rather it come sooner.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a lot more mystical about my writing process rather than
Are
I used
you?
to. I've always been very like regimented and very just do it, pull yourselves together, just do it. So I just started doing morning pages actually this year again and like
Claire,
actually doing them properly for the first time. So
got my little note on it.
oh, nice. I've got
I'm
one.
showing.
Yeah, I've got
I'm
it
on
one
week.
called like something called like 366 days of it. So
Oh,
and
I
it's
am
okay.
doing.
Mm,
Because I started it last year, and if anyone knows what we're talking about Julia Cameron's The Artist Range. She says you've got to do morning pages
mm.
as you work through the program. And I don't know what happened. I got to week 7 last year, and for life of me, I don't know what happened why I stopped. So this year, I'm like, no, I'm determined. I'm doing it, and I'm on week 5, and I'm doing my morning pages. How do
Yeah.
you find it?
It's bringing up a lot of stuff that's really surprising to me because I already journal quite a bit. So I kind of was
Yeah,
thinking, how can this be any different? I was a bit skeptical, but I started using a timer. So I put on a timer for 10 minutes and I just go and just write, see what comes out. And yeah, it's really interesting. It's really sort of like taking me back to a more instinctive style of writing that I used to have.
yeah.
So I used to be able to sit down and do like, I could do 10,000 words some days and it would just sort of come out.
10,000.
10,000. Yeah, not every day, but sometimes I could.
Yeah.
Um, and then I just feel like I haven't had that for a long time. That sense of the story just kind of writes itself. So it's really interesting when it's bringing up things that I want and things that actually I don't want that maybe I thought I did want. So it's, yeah, I really would recommend it. Actually, it sounds. I was skeptical, but it is doing something.
Yeah. In the beginning, I'm like, you want me to do what every morning? You want me to write 3 pages? What am I supposed to write? And then
Yeah,
you
so
just
I'm
find
just
yourself just writing.
yeah, I'm doing a timer instead of 3 pages, so that's kind
Yeah.
of helping me.
Do you, without going into your morning pages, because your morning, as she says, the morning pages are for you. But do you, have you found yourself like working through like plots and parts of your story, or is it all just you?
A little bit. It's not always just about writing either. It could just be about anything that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I sometimes will write down what the problem is. Like I don't quite know what the motivation is here, or I don't know why
Mm.
this character is doing this, and then you sort of hope that the answer will come to you. I think there is just a big mystical side of writing, isn't there? Like we don't really know how we do it; we just do it. So
I think there is.
I'm grateful to that. Yeah.
I, I've written stuff. It's only always happens when no, it always comes more apparent when I'm doing like my edits. So obviously now it's come back and I'm working through
Mm.
it. And I can read whole chapters of my book and I'm thinking, I have no memory of writing this. Like
Yeah,
I
that
just
too.
don't. And I don't know where it came from. But obviously it came
Mhm.
from somewhere.
Or if you ever read an old book of yours, I sometimes will do that. And I'll be like, oh, this is quite good actually. Like, who did this? So, yeah. Mm.
Have I read anything older? But I did read something the other day and I was like, I can't remember what it was though. I don't know if there's anything published. It might have been something I just written. And I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. You could
Yeah, it's
write.
nice because at the
What
time
do
when
you
you're
think?
writing, when you write it, I think this is the ideal way for it to work is you write it in a sort of creative blast of like, oh my God, this is amazing, best thing ever.
Hmm.
Then you edit it with a kind of like, oh God, what a mess. And then maybe at some point you go back to it and just appreciate your craft and your creativity and think,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
You know, when you said you got diagnosed with autism,
Mm,
lots of adults now are getting diagnosed with autism.
yeah. Or
Um,
ADHD. Yeah.
or ADHD, yeah, with ADHD. But I don't know if it's too soon to say, but are you, if you are looking back at like your older works, are you able to see, I don't know, is there like a pre-knowledge of autism, Claire, if that makes sense? And then are you writing differently with the knowledge or giving
I,
yourself more permissions? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know if haven't got as far as thinking about that yet. I think
Yeah,
probably some of my characters are probably exhibiting a lot of autistic traits, which I wouldn't have known about or thought at the time. And like, even characters I've written relatively recently, I'm suddenly realizing, oh, okay, that's what that is. That's why they're like this. Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, I think what I'm thinking about quite a lot at the minute is trying to work with my brain rather than because like I really don't function well in the mornings. I think this is kind of early for me. It's like half
Oh,
10.
is it early? I'm
It's
sorry.
really it takes me a really long time to wake up. Like it takes me like 2 hours, I would say, to be sort of functioning.
To get yourself.
Yeah, and then again, you
The
hear
only
all
one,
these writers say, "Oh, got to get up at 6 and write." It's like I couldn't do that. If I got up at 6, I probably wouldn't go to bed if I was getting up at 6. So, and then I would be like a zombie. So that's not
I
as
feel,
good for me.
yeah, I feel like when you say it takes you a while to get ready, you don't mean like get dressed, but get like mentally get ready.
Yeah,
I
just
feel
to wake
like,
my brain up.
like a clock, like mechanical pieces. I feel like you're the mechanical pieces of a clock,
Yeah,
just so like,
really.
everything's connecting.
Like,
Yeah, it's grinding and then getting you
and then it
into
takes
it.
me a really long time to shut that down as well. And so when we used to work when we were working together at City Uni,
Yeah,
it was a night class, right? So it finished at 9, which
yeah.
is quite late, but that sort of worked quite well for me. So, but it would take me a really long time after that to wind down. So,
I had to learn to be like a morning writer because before when I was doing obviously when I was at City Uni doing the course and stuff because it was in the evening and like everyone you're doing a whole
mm,
day before that and you're up and you're doing your job and then you have to come to uni in the evening. So all my writing that I was doing like prior to that, it was always in the evening or it was on like the bits I could find on the weekend. And then once I became published, and also because I was freelance as well, so and then COVID kicked in, so all of that stuff
mm,
happened. It's like I had to kind of retrain to
yeah,
become like a morning writer. And I think I used to tell myself, "Oh, I can't get up early. I can't get up early." But now
Mhm.
I do. It
Okay,
just
so
works out that way.
I'm just
Yeah.
getting myself.
Everyone's different. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Everyone's
my ideal
different.
working hours are probably between about sort of 10 and 4, half 10,
Oh,
5-ish.
I think that's good.
And that would be, if I did that every day, that would be more than enough because you also don't need to spend a full 9 to 5 doing your writing.
No. And I think really, if you did actually like video record yourself for the whole day, you probably realize you're not actually doing that much.
I know, I know.
Right?
Some days I'm
You
doing
can,
all my writing in like half an hour, and it's fine, it works. So I just have
yeah,
to.
you're finding other stuff to do. So
Well,
Claire,
there's always so much admin as well, isn't there? And like, if I'm editing, I can do really long days on that.
yeah.
But new
It's so
writing, I just can't spend that long on it. So,
no, until you get into that rhythm of it, I think.
mm,
With the new book, it can take me ages. It can take me at least. I know it definitely happened with the one I'm writing now. It took me about a good 3-4 weeks to write 5,000 words
mm,
because I just couldn't get. It's like I was stuck, like I was a old car, and I was trying to push it,
hmm
and it just wasn't working. And all of a sudden, it just clicked, and it
yeah.
started to work.
I think I'm always kind of listening out for like what's the opening scene,
Mm,
and usually I will just get the whole thing and I'll just know where it starts. But if that hasn't come yet, then I just sort of
yeah.
wait.
So I keep going back to the first book, and you said you got your agent,
Hmm
and then you get the deal, and you said you don't cope, you don't manage rejection well. So how did you then manage when the book's now out in the public, and then reviewers are coming back? I don't know if it was different in 2012, if people were so much with the Amazon reviews and the Goodread reviews and tagging you in on everything.
No, I think I don't remember
No.
getting any nasty reviews really. It amazes me nowadays with like Instagram, and I don't think it's really in the UK, but people from other countries are so rude. They'll tag you in really rude reviews, and I'm like, why would you
Yeah.
tag me in this? Like, it's fine for you to I actually feel quite strongly about this. Like, it's fine for you to say that, and it's fine for you to post that. Why have you
Mm.
tagged me? I don't want to see this. That is really rude. And sometimes I get annoyed and I say this is really rude, and then I worry that I'm gonna get cancelled or something. But it's often French. A
No.
lot of French reviewers do that, and I speak French, so number one, how do they know that I can read their rude review? But to check that I can read their rude review, so it's like, please don't tag me in it. I don't want to see it. So,
It wasn't last. I know it wasn't last. I think it was the year before. And there was a spate of people just tagging you in. I'm like, I don't listen. If you like the book, I'm happy you like it. If you don't like it, that's just
yeah,
life. Not everyone likes
totally up to you. And
everything.
you're more than within your rights to make a post about how you hate that book. That's totally
You don't
fine.
need to tag me in
Just
it.
don't send it to me. So, but
I
then
haven't.
people occasionally used to email and say they didn't like my book, and it's like, why? And then I
They
would write
emailed you.
sometimes, yeah, and then I would write back and they'd be like, "Oh, I didn't think that you would see this." So, okay, well, do you think I have a vast social media team or something? So I did see it and I
You
didn't
have
like it.
people, Claire. That's what I
Yeah,
mean. Have people
totally.
who will just filter it from you. Yeah, I remember I got one and it just annoyed me. It was not, I don't know what was going on with me that day, but it was not a good day for me to be tagged in on a rude review
Uh,
saying I didn't like. I can't remember what they said, but they didn't like it. And I think I did it on, I did reply, I think on Instagram and on Threads, and I said, "There's no need for it. If you don't like it, fine, but
no
don't
need
need to.
for
You
it.
do
Yeah.
not need to tag me in." And
And
people are like,
sometimes
"I
they
don't
ask
believe
you
you
to
do that."
collaborate on the post on Instagram. It's like, I'm not going to collaborate with you on a post where you said you didn't like my book. Get a grip. So,
I had that yesterday, and I was like, "Why are you asking me to collaborate on this?
yeah, people just
If
need to
you're
think
gonna
about
like,
it.
not an ego diva-ish way, but if you're gonna be singing my praises and giving me all the stars, then I'll accept collaboration all day long.
Yeah,
However,
it's less
not if
enforcing
it's
it,
just."
so I'm not doing it. So,
And
but I'm
again,
very
you should have think,
Yeah, I'm
"Oh."
comfortable with people like not liking it. I just don't need them to tell me directly to my face they don't like it. So,
But that's the thing with social media, though. Isn't it? I wrote about this the other day. Is that it's taken away that veil. I said that, whereas before, like, especially when you think back to when you were younger, if you liked a book and you wanted to tell an author how much you really had liked their book, or
mm,
even whether you hated them, you had to find a way of contacting them. And
yeah,
normally the only way you could do that is either if you found their agent or you found their publisher, then you had to send a letter. It
Yeah.
wasn't like unless you called, left a message on someone's voice machine. And then if you were lucky, Claire, maybe you might get a reply a few months later. But there
Yeah.
was no forum to like really express an opinion about anything, unless you're just chatting to your friends or you had a book club. But
Yeah, you
whereas
just passed the book
now,
around school, like under the desks if it
yeah,
was a racy book. That's all you did.
you did. But now everyone's on, just go online. Just go online.
Yeah.
Oh, and they can see you, so they can unless you switch off your DMs and stuff, and they know they can contact you.
Yeah. Like not every opinion needs to be aired, I believe. It's fine to just think it and not say it online. So,
No. Do you know in the beginning you were saying like you didn't know that you was writing crime, and that
mm.
before you thought you was writing literary. So did you consciously know when you was moving into like the rom com category, or it's just
Yeah,
this is just a story, or is that a
I
conscious
did, yeah.
decision you made?
Yeah, so I actually was getting divorced at the time.
Right.
And I was really in a really my life had fallen apart. I was like super broke and just everything. I had lost my home. Everything was bad. And I started writing a
Oh,
sort of like it was sort of like a journal I was writing about the time. And then
yeah.
at some point I just sort of realized, oh no, I'm fictionalizing this. Instead of it being a really depressing journal, it's going to be like a funny rom-com about someone that's getting divorced. Um, so yeah, I did know that it was a rom-com, and it was such a joy to write that book, The 30 List, it's called,
Mm,
and it was I just put all my best jokes in there, and it really cheered me up, and also I really managed to kind of keep me financially afloat as well. So
yeah.
yeah, that's still one of my favorite books of mine.
This is the thing about this whole writing industry, and I think this is more for people who are friends and families of writers, and also
Mm,
to strangers, people who knew you from school. Is that from the outside looking in, once they see your book they see it on the shelf or they see you posting about it, they think you're just living this life
yeah,
of. I'm saying helicopter rides because that's the only thing that just popped into my head at the moment. But helicopter rides and lunches and
yeah,
everything's fine financially, and reality is that's not the case for so many
yeah. I think
writers.
people would be quite surprised if they knew how low most advances are.
Yeah,
So it's actually is quite difficult. I don't know that many people now that can just do it full time or forever
no,
anyway. So
and that's sad, really, because you think that when you get it, and when you get your deal, you think, oh my god, like this is it, like I'm set.
yeah,
You kind of got everything that you wanted, but then you realize, um, I said it, can't remember when I said it, but to me, having like a publishing contract, it's a temporary contract for two
yeah,
years, and
exactly. Yeah,
then you have to renew
that's a
it.
good way of thinking about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
but even
it's not.
even nowadays, like when I first got published, and maybe we needed to, it was usually enough to live off for a couple of years. But
Yeah.
most book deals now aren't. There's not enough to live off even for 2 years. So
Oh, you ever tempted to do because romanticy, it's still when you look at the charts, it is still riding high. Are you ever tempted to move into that, or you just thought, no, I know what I'm doing.
no, I mean I have
I'm
written quite
staying
a lot of
here.
different things. I've never had an idea for. I've had this like time travel idea that I've been trying to make work for probably about 10 years, if not more, and
Yeah.
keep coming back to it, and then still can't quite get it to work. So that
Mm,
would be the closest I would do to that. Like, it wouldn't be
yeah.
fantasy, but it would be like, yeah, time travel romance probably.
Do you think publishers? I don't know if it's right to say it's like lazy when they just see a trend,
Not saying they're
and that's
lazy, but
yeah, maybe not lazy. I'm trying to think of a better word for it. But that's the trend and that's all they're focusing on, and kind of
yeah, I don't think it's laziness. I think it's
it's not laziness, no, it's a better
fear.
word.
It's being timid. They're just trying to
Timid,
like, well,
yeah.
what? Okay, people like this book. Maybe they'll like more of this book, but and
Mm,
that's only true up to a point. Like most people like to read different types of things. They don't necessarily want to read the exact same type of book over and over, I think.
yeah.
So I think
But
there's
this
a
is the
need
thing as
for a
well.
bit of boldness, maybe, in commissioning and just maybe taking a few more risks.
Yeah. 'Cause this is the thing, like you'll always say to people when we are giving advice, I'll always say, write the story that you want to write. But I suppose it can be hard for a new writer if you want to write your rom com maybe, or you want to write your very dark thriller, but then all you're seeing every time you open social media, or you do look at the Sunday Times chart, you're saying, oh, romanticy, these are the books that are hitting the charts and they're getting the deals.
I think it might just be also because a format. So I think, because as we know, the charts are only based on certain types of formats of books, which I also didn't know.
Mm,
So like ebooks don't look at ebooks; they just look at hardbacks really. So
yeah.
I think people that read romantasy often are buying the hardback, and that's often because they post on social media a lot, so they want to have something nice to take the picture of. So
Yeah,
it
they
can
get the
help it
spread
all.
is
Yeah, you kind of need to look at all aspects of the market, including audio and ebook, to get a sense of what really is popular.
yeah. You know when you've being published with Amazon, did you know it was going to be like such a different experience to being published
Um,
by your other publishers?
no, a little bit. So I knew a couple of other authors that had been with them, and they'd sort of told me how well they were doing, and I was like, kind of like, oh God, that can't be true. I must have misheard, but it was true. So I was
It's
a
a
bit like,
mistake.
yeah, and it did really make a massive difference to me. It really works for me because I can write quite a lot, so it kind of rewards that model where you can write quite fast.
Yeah.
We think a lot about branding, which I think is also good. I think other authors maybe aren't steered as well in terms of, yeah, you could write this random thing, but this is what people want from you, so maybe try and fit into that if you can. I think that's quite good advice. So,
No, it is because I don't know if I even like recognized myself as being a brand until I think I was having a conversation with someone else. I might have
mm,
been being interviewed for something, and they said, "Oh, this is your brand." And I was like, "Is it?" It's
mm,
like I just write books, but well, and I write these books with this character. And it's only when I started thinking about, well, no, actually, it is
yeah.
that is your brand when it comes to that series of books.
Hmm. So it's
Did
quite
you
helpful
always,
for me to think about that.
yeah, did you feel comfortable with that straight away though? Did you have to adjust to it?
Um, the big adjustment is everything is very regimented. So I will be told your book is due on this day,
Mm,
and you can't really change that. You could maybe get a couple of days extension. So there's none of, and then they will also say, well, I'm coming back with your edits on this day. Whereas a lot of publishers will just be like, coming sometime in the next 6 months, just be ready. And then you just can't
no,
plan
no, no.
your work very well because you have no idea when you're supposed to be doing these edits. So I
Yeah.
always know it's coming on this day.
The
It's pretty
structure's
like,
there.
yeah, and it's not very easy to deviate from that. So
Some people that I think I like the structure. I think I like the structure.
yeah, it's
I
much
don't
more
like the
professional, and I can, I have a portal I can go on and look at what I'm selling in any given
yeah.
day. So they give you a lot of tools.
Yeah, I don't like the floaty ideas of maybe
Yeah.
this month. And I think it probably just goes back to me practicing law is that you had a date to serve
Hmm.
papers, to respond, to do X, Y, and Z. You had firm dates. And if you want to deviate from those dates, then I had to go to the judge. And
Yeah.
that's never that's not just like, please, sir. It was like having to argue for it. It was work. It's probably just easier just to try and stick
Yeah.
to the date
It
than to
definitely
try and
works for
move
me
away
because
from it.
I kind of prefer to know, like, is this a rule or is it not a rule? I don't like it to be sort of like, well, sometimes it's a rule, sometimes it's not. So it kind of
Yeah.
works for me.
How prepared? I want to before I'm going to ask you about your new book, The Other Couple, coming out. How prepared were you, Claire, for the public face of being an author? So going and doing the panels and things like, but not even doing the panels, but like teaching as well. That is, it's not easy for anyone, I think, to stand up there in front of a group and to teach.
I don't think that's been a huge aspect of it, really. I mean, I've done some
Yeah.
panels every year, but I don't feel like I feel like most of the time you're just on your own typing, so
Yes.
it's not that common. When I had some of my rom-com books actually were probably the most visible. I
Mm,
did some big events and I went to New York for one of them, and that was kind of surreal to see the book poster, massive, massive book poster in this. It's like the equivalent of the London Book Fair. And then I have had a poster at the London Book Fair as well. But I think generally speaking, I just feel like I'm just on my own most of the time still. So
yeah. Has the I will go on to the other couple, but is there a difference, or do you feel there's like there's a massive difference between like the romance world and the crime world, and maybe in terms of like how readers respond to you?
yeah, so I don't write romance anymore, but I did for
Yeah,
for a few years. Um, there's a huge amount of romance authors that you never really hear about, but the market is huge. It's sort of a bit under the radar, I'd say.
Mm,
But people are really reading a lot of stuff out there that just doesn't get talked about in a mainstream way.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I found the sort of vibe of the authors very different. So I suppose just there's just not as many men is probably what changes it. So the crime conferences and get-togethers have a certain sort of vibe, and then the romance
Yeah.
is different. So I think writing romance is really hard. I actually gave it up because
Oh,
I couldn't figure out how to make the stories work anymore. It was just I don't know how to make a story work unless there's a mystery of some kind. And I
right.
was having to really stop myself from putting just these mystery plots into them. I just
It
didn't know
was
like
me
how
throwing a
else
body.
to keep people interested. Yeah.
I did you read the article last? I think it was last week. I think it was last week in the New York Times about this woman. Can't remember her name now, but basically using AI to churn out
Oh yeah, I didn't
200
read it, but I
books.
saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said one of the reasons why I got offended. I was very offended by the whole thing,
Mhm.
and one of the reasons why I got offended by it was that they're saying like she's purposely chosen romance novels to write using AI and to churn
Mhm.
out these books. And I just felt like you're treating it as if romance is just like the easy, like it's easy to write
Yeah, I
a
don't think
romance
it's
book.
easy at all
And it's not, I don't think it's easy at all.
because the stories are simple usually, but that means the characters and the setting and the chemistry has is so difficult. It's so intangible. Like if I need to fix a crime book, I can do it. It'll just be like mystery, 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 hint of something
Yeah,
weird.
red
It's
herring.
weird. Then yeah, red herring, red herring, red herring twist. But romance, I like how it's like it's very difficult, I think. And if they don't come out organically, those characters, then I didn't know how to do
Yeah.
it.
I just found it, I kept reading it thinking, this is just so rude. It's just so
Mm.
rude and offensive to romance writers because you're
Yeah,
acting as if there's no skill in it. And because there's no skill, you can just just go into any
yeah.
AI program to churn
No,
out a book.
it's a huge amount of skill, I think. So.
Yeah. I remember like when I was writing Jigsaw Man and I was coming up with Olivier, one of the serial killers, and I kept thinking, and I always knew I said I wanted him to have charisma. And I was like, how do you even write charisma?
Mm,
It's like I had no idea. I still don't know how I did it, but I just knew I wanted him to be charismatic. So that's a skill in itself to
yeah.
create that reaction in the reader to see that in a character.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so Claire, I'm gonna ask you about your new book, The Other Couple. So I have two. I normally ask you to tell the readers about your book. She has up.
Um,
It must be cool though to see all your books.
I haven't actually
Like
got them all here at the minute. They're all
no.
mostly all in storage at the minute because I've moved into a smaller flat.
Oh
Um, yeah, when I get them out again, it will be cool. Yeah.
yeah, just have
This
them
is
all
going to
out there.
be 28th, number 28, I think. So
28.
yeah, I think so.
So it's 2012. What's that? 14 years. Is that two? I can't do my maths. That's nearly like 2 books a year, isn't it?
Yeah, so it was just to start with. It was really only one book a year, and then I had a couple of years where I did like three or four. So
How did you manage that?
um, I'm quite fast. I just quite like this is how my brain works. It just sort of
Just get it
does
done.
things quickly.
All right, so Claire, do you want to tell the listeners of the conversation about the other couple? Then I have two questions to ask you, and then we go on to the final questions.
Yeah, so it's about three different couples really. Arguably four. It's there's a character called Alison who is a detective that has popped up in some of my other books, The Other Wife and The Push. And she was only a minor character in those, and I just really loved her. She just kind of took over. So this is a book this is Alison's book. So she's on holiday
Mm,
with her partner, who's also a police officer. She's heavily pregnant. It's taken her a while to get there, and they're in this kind of luxury resort having a mini moon or baby moon, and she's just really bored. She's just like, "How is this fun? I'm just sweaty and I can't drink." And she's kind of like making up little stories about the people, the other guests, as you do when you maybe stay in a hotel and don't know much to do. And she sees this woman who just looks really devastated and is crying all the time. Beth kind of befriends her to try and figure out what's going on. And then we also get Beth's point of view. She's there with her husband, who just something is not right with him. He's behaving really
yeah,
strangely. Um, and then one night on the holiday, a woman who works in the hotel is found dead on the beach. Vince is found with the body. So it's suddenly like they're involved in this police investigation. They don't speak Spanish. They're really scared. Alison kind of butts her way in and helps a little bit. And then there's a third couple as well who are this sort of glamorous young influencer couple that befriend Vince and Beth, and they don't really understand why. Like, why do these people want to hang out with us? They're so much younger and hotter than us. So it's really just about the interaction of those different
Yeah.
people in this resort. And then it goes back to, so the structure is something I, for every book, really think a lot about and try and do something different each time. So in this book we get, it starts off with Alison's point of view on the holiday, and then it switches to Beth 2 weeks later back in London. And something obviously terrible has happened. Don't quite know what that is yet. And then in the middle of the book it switches. So we get Beth's view of what happened on the holiday, and then Alison's view now in London with the investigation. And then you also get throughout the mysterious point of view of someone called him. So it's a man who's committed this murder, but we don't know which man it is. Is it one of the three men that we've met already?
Ooh,
Who is it? So yeah.
I like that. All right, so Claire, what was the biggest challenge when writing the other couple?
Um, Probably that structural thing. I was kind of
Yeah,
thinking, does that work? Is that going to work? Can I pull it off? Hopefully, I think I did. And I just find the middle bits really difficult. I find the sort of like, I would call it the third quarter of the book really difficult when you're sort of like
yeah.
trying to turn all your mystery threads and kind of pull them in the right direction.
That's the thing. It's like you're trying to gather it all together, so
Yeah,
it all
it's like,
makes sense at the end.
and then yeah, that's the bit I find
At
really
the moment,
difficult.
at the moment, I don't even know where my friends are. I've kind of lost them. They're
One
all
thing
over
I
the
also
place.
find quite difficult in this kind of psych thriller, when you have people doing things that don't really make sense that normal people wouldn't do, but it has to be
Yeah.
quite grounded. Like you have more scope in yours to be less grounded. I know, but in these I have to be quite grounded. So it's
Mm.
just like, how can I actually make it psychologically plausible that someone would do these things? So
That's
that's a
the
bit
thing,
tricky
though, isn't it?
as well.
Because they're supposed to be, I suppose they are supposed to be grounded in reality. Like you could
Yeah.
imagine this happening to your neighbor.
And
Whereas,
people do
obviously
terrible things. People do commit murders
they
all the
do.
time, but not many people, I mean, you can probably speak to this more than me, but not many people probably have like elaborate plots or conspiracies.
No. I've always like when I've dealt with murder cases, or even just like anything just like a serious like grievous bodily harm. One murder case, it was actually because a guy thought his friend was being attacked. It wasn't anything, crazy and outrageous or elaborate. It was he thought his friend was being attacked and he picked up a standpipe because there just happened to be an open Thames water van, and he picked up the standpipe and he just hit this guy to try and get him off his friend. And the guy just fell.
He
And two
died.
days later he died in
Oh, that's
hospital.
really sad. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't anything like mad. It was just that he thought his friend was being attacked and he was defending his friend. But he
Yeah.
ended up the guy ended up being killed. And then it was just a fight in the pub. And it
Yeah.
just went. Someone said something about someone's girl and it went astray. So yeah, it's not the murders are not sometimes the high concept ones
Yeah.
that are
It
drawn out.
doesn't happen really, does it? But
Yeah, it's just
so,
just life. Life
mhm.
gets in the way. Okay, so Claire, if you could spend an afternoon with any of your characters in the other couple, whom would you choose and why?
And probably Alison. I just really love her. She's just kind of very no nonsense and grumpy, and
Yeah,
um, she finds things annoying that I find annoying. And she's just generally quite irritated by other people and their behavior. So yeah, I think definitely her.
that's her. Okay, before I go into your final questions, though, can I ask you about the Quickening? Because the Quickening, yeah, it
Hmm.
comes out in July,
Yeah.
and when I was reading, what do you call it? The Not the blurb, is it? Is it the blurb?
Yeah, the bit on the back.
Yeah, the bit on the
Yeah.
the bit on
That's
the
the
back, the blurb.
bit.
And obviously you got these. Are you saying it's dystopian? Because you've
Yeah.
got these characters, yeah, so it's
Just-
dystopian. But then when I was reading it and I was thinking, it's dystopian, but it's so kind of rooted in reality as well. Because obviously you've got
Yeah,
this
so it's
this
like
mother.
grounded dystopia or near future dystopia, you might call it, like
Yeah.
not far away from our world and actually getting closer by the day.
And this
So,
is this is the thing, because we've got in the book the mum's basically and
oh,
on the run with her
fire
daughter.
alarm.
Oh, go and get your parcel.
It's my fire alarm.
Oh, is it a fire alarm?
God, I think it's just a test.
Oh,
Sorry, that was bad
I was, I
timing.
was like,
Yeah,
go and get your parcel. And I thought that is not an
no,
that's not an intercom.
they just test
Yeah,
it
and
every week. I think that's what it was. Sorry.
oh,
Yes, what were we saying?
yes, you got this the mum, she's basically on the run for her daughter because her daughter needs to get an abortion and contraception. And I'm just thinking, but this is what's happening in certain states.
Yeah,
in the
actually, a
US
lot of
because
states in America, I think it's like 19 states now have severely
which is
restricted it. Um,
wild because she has a life-threatening pregnancy and she needs help.
yeah,
So even though, yeah, it's grounded dystopia.
unfortunately, this is already happening, and most things in the book are already happening or have
Yeah,
happened somewhere else in the world recently. So, like this stuff about women having to have fertility checks, like that happened in Romania up until the 90s. Women were, because they banned all contraception, abortion there. Women had to have like pelvic exams
yeah.
every month or so. So it is all real for the most part.
And
But
when you're writing it, are you, I don't know, it's hard not to think about it actually happening. So like, one thing I'm trying to ask is, are you able to just focus on the story and creating the dystopia, fully merge into that
I was
dystopia
very
world?
angry about this happening, and
Yeah,
the anger sort of fueled it. And I grew up in Northern Ireland, and we didn't have an abortion. We didn't have abortion there until 2020, even though it's part of the UK. So people know that it was banned in Ireland, but they don't know it was banned in Northern Ireland too. And even now,
yeah.
there's only a 12-week limit in Northern Ireland, even though it's 24 in the rest of the UK. I just think
12
that is,
weeks.
I think that is outrageous and a disgrace.
Yeah.
So people think that it couldn't happen here, but it could. It all it takes is like a couple of like the right laws and the right people in the right jobs, and
Hmm.
then yeah, it's gone. And I'm sure you know, like there's all the time there are people, politicians trying to overturn the laws that we have in both in
Yeah.
England and in Northern Ireland all the time, like on a weekly basis. Pretty much, people are bringing cases and bills to try and change it. So it absolutely can happen here. So I was very angry, and I sort of put that into this book. But the book, this was supposed to be more of a literary book as well. It just didn't come out that way
Yeah.
at all. It came out really thrillery. It's really, really pacey. It's just like boom, 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 boom. And that sort of wasn't what I wanted, but
That's what
that's
happened.
what
Do you
it's
think
got.
that's like who you are? It's like you
Sometimes
just
it's
have
the
to
way, just
accept
like,
it.
well, this book wants to be this way, so I have to let it.
Yeah,
Um,
I've the one I'm writing now, I was like, no, it's just gonna be a proper psychological thriller. And then I got halfway and I was like, no, you need bodies. It's not an Nadine Matheson book if there are not bodies. So I'm like, you need to put some bodies in it.
yeah, definitely. It
Yeah,
definitely peps up a story, a little body.
it
So
does. I think you said that to me one time when I was working on the Jigsaw Man. I think you said you need more bodies. And I was like, I think I got like enough. You were
you have
like,
quite
oh,
a lot
you
of
can have
bodies
some.
in your first draft of that, I think
Yeah, there were. He was like, you can have some more. I was
I
like,
think I maybe said
okay.
like space them out a bit, space out the murders a
Yeah,
bit.
probably. I think that's probably what happened. Not
Yeah.
don't have them all clumped like in the first act.
Yeah. So yeah, the quickening was really hard to write. It was
Yeah.
I've been writing it for probably about 3 years, which was quite a long time, and
Oh, 3 years.
it was really hard, quite a long time for me, and it was really hard to get. It just my poor agent, like it was so much back and forward, and I just really struggled. So I think it's good in a way. Like when I'm writing a thriller, I kind of know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Some will come out better than others just because of this intangible stuff we were talking about with character and setting.
Mm,
But generally speaking, know what I'm doing. With
yeah.
this, I just didn't. It was just like uncharted territory, and
I think that's hard though when it's
mm,
when you feel like you're doing something new and but you've written so many books before, so it's like you know how to write, you know how to tell a story, but when you're doing something new, it takes you back to writing for the very, very first time.
yeah,
And
it
you're
does.
just like, yeah,
And obviously, the stakes are really high in this, so that's I had the built-in story. The ticking clock is there as well because if they don't get her treatment, she's gonna like literally
she'll
bleed to
die.
death any
Yeah.
minute, and that does happen when people have ectopic pregnancies, even in this country. Now they get missed, and people do still die sometimes. So it's a very,
Mm,
very dangerous condition to have. So I had all of that, but I think what was difficult was like managing the tension because it just can't just be like an episode of 24 where it's like run, 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 run. You have to sort of build in some moments where they like some of my editor's feedback was like, well, when have they slept? Have they slept at any point
but it's
in 5 days? So had to kind of go
I
in and tinker with that a bit.
I discussed this with Tariq Ashkenani. We was talking about his book, The Midnight King, and it basically came about. And the reason why discussion came about is because we were talking about video games, and I
Mhm.
said I'd have this character, because I play video games, and I have this character running around, and then after a while I'll be like, he hasn't even gone to the toilet, like he needs to eat,
Yeah,
and you've given him no room because he's just constantly on this mission. And
yeah,
it's the same as books; you have to give them breaks.
yeah. So I suppose if you're cutting between different viewpoints, you can just assume they kind of had
Gone
something
to,
to eat in
gone,
the meantime. But
gone to the toilet.
yeah,
That's why I go to the toilet. All right,
yeah.
so Claire, final questions. Are you an introvert or extrovert or a hybrid of the two?
I think I'm like a sociable introvert. So I didn't, and again,
Mm,
I didn't realize this for many years that I just really need to be on my own to recharge.
yeah,
So, but I'm quite sociable and I do quite a lot of stuff. So
yeah. You are sociable. I've seen you out.
yeah, I'm probably too sociable. I quite like to do a bit less this year.
Yeah.
So far it's not working, but
Oh,
yeah,
we're only in February. Can write it
yeah,
down.
true. 6 weeks in.
Okay, so what challenge or experience, like to say good or bad, in your life shaped you the most?
Well, that's a good question. I have a brother who's really disabled, and I've written about
Mm,
this in one of my books. This Could Be Us, which is a sort of fictionalized version of my childhood and my family. That's just been incredibly difficult for my family and still is. And he was born when I was
mm,
2. It just really shaped everything, I think.
mm. Is
Don't
it
know if
just the
that
two of you?
made me a writer. No, it's 4 of us.
All right.
Um, I don't know if that like made me a writer, but it probably meant that I spent more time on my own as a child. Probably had
Yeah.
quite a rich inner world. So
Okay.
yeah, probably that.
Right. If you could go back to when you were 25 years old and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
So when I was 25, I was really that was when I started taking writing seriously.
Yeah.
And I was writing this other book for several years that still hasn't been published, and I kind of still hope it might be one day, but it needs a big rewrite. But it's just
Mm,
something there still. Um, I think I would probably say like think about genre, like think about what. This is surprisingly hard for people to do. It's like, yeah, you've got this idea, you've got stuff you want to write about, but is this a book? And I've sometimes given this quite brutal feedback to friends if I know they can take it if they've written something and they're trying to get published. I'll be like, yeah, you can write, but this is not a book. This is just not the idea. Just
it's not.
wasn't for a book. So think about maybe go to a bookshop, have a look, and think, okay, that's a story, that's a story, that's a story. Is this a
Yeah.
story? Does this fit into any kind of genre or marketing category? Because that just is going to be so helpful um if I'd been able to do that. But I don't really regret it actually. I think I sort of got where I
Yeah.
needed to get. I do wish I'd known. I thought the first one was crime, the first one that got published, and I would have done it quite differently, I think, if I'd known it was crime.
This is why I think one I saw in threads the last couple of weeks, and I've just been ignoring it because it's a stupid advice. Someone said, and I'm sure it's just clickbait, really. They're like, oh, if you're writing, you don't need to be reading
What?
books. I'm like, you, I know. I'm like, you need to read because reading teaches you all those. It teaches you all those things. It teaches you dialogue structure,
Yeah,
character, but also it teaches you if you're writing something, you can if you're reading like a whole range of books, you can see whether the thing you're writing actually fits on that bookshelf,
definitely.
so
Yeah.
to speak, or whether it is something else.
And a lot of writing, especially crime writing, really is technique, isn't it? Like at the minute,
Yeah.
I'm trying to write something where I'm trying to give the impression that someone is dead for half the book, but they're not dead. And I'm just like, how do I do that? Like everyone's going to be talking about her. They're not using the past tense. Can I get them to use the past tense and somehow not have that be like a fakery? Like
Mm.
how do I do this twist? So I don't quite know, but that's
No, it's not
a real
easy.
technical challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very technical, and I think that's probably why, actually not probably why, I know it's why it took me so long to like sit down and write crime, because I was like, how do you create twists and plots like this and red
Yeah.
herrings and make people believe that something is happening when it's not.
Yeah, and that is
And I
always
think when I did the course, yeah, I was like, thank God I
craft
did the
technique. But
course.
I think you were already, because there's my parcel now. Sorry. I think you were already really good at that. 1 second.
Yeah, thank you. So, but I don't even need to ask you this because the next one is morning pages or midnight deadlines, early starts or all nighters.
Yeah, definitely not a morning person. I've just had a
Have you ever tried to do the morning
yeah.
page?
Very occasionally I'll like book an early yoga class or something, and I'll get up and I'll
Yeah.
feel really smug and like, oh, this is great. I've got the whole day, and then I just can't sustain it, so I just get too tired.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so when you are writing, is there something in the background or is it silence?
I usually have music on, yeah. Or
Yeah.
I think I used to
Right.
work
Do you
with
have
white
music?
noise. That was quite good.
Yeah. Okay. When you have music, do you have music with words? Because everyone who says music seems to say it can't have any words in it.
No, I do have music with words, yeah.
Oh, thank you. I feel
Mm.
like you're on team. Music with words with me.
Yeah,
It's
the
only
white
two
noise
people on it.
was pretty good actually, so maybe I should try that again.
It's just the only time I ever had right. It's not the same thing at all. There was a court I used to go to, City of London Magistrates Court, and whenever the judges used to discuss, so the magistrates were discussing, someone would always press the white noise button, so you just get white noise over the tannoy, so you
Mhm.
couldn't hear them over the speaker, so you couldn't hear them discussing. But I don't know if I can do white noise. I might try it. We'll
Yeah,
try
I
it and
find it quite
see.
helpful. It was good for focus.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is your non-writing tip for writers? I would say it could be touch grass, do yoga.
I think I used to give people really boring advice that when I was teaching, like back up your work, get
That's what you
your
said to me.
chair. Yeah, because I know loads of people that have lost big chunks of work through
Yeah.
having laptops stolen or things like that. Yeah, just get a proper chair, get all of that sorted out early on because you can really cause yourself a lot of injury if you're not using a proper, like don't use a Mac, don't use a netbook or a sort of laptop for writing full time. That's really bad for your wrists and things. Save your receipts. It's really boring advice, but it's important. It's very important.
It's good non-writing advice. I
Yeah,
don't. I have an iMac, and the keyboard is too flat for
yeah,
me, so I bought a bigger one,
yeah.
basically, and then I
Ergonomic
bought these
keyboard
little.
is good. I have an ergonomic
Yeah.
mouse as well because the flat mouses don't work that well. So
Yeah, it's the little things. I bought a little stand you stick on the bottom of the keyboard so it
mhm.
makes it higher. See, all
Okay,
these little things,
yeah, it's
valuable
important.
things. Yep. And finally, Claire, where can listeners of the conversation find you online?
So I'm mostly on Instagram these days. So I'm at Claire McGowan writer. I'm on Facebook as well. You can search for my author page. Um, those are the main things. I've got a website as well, just clairemcgowan.co.uk. So you can
Yeah.
email me through that if you want to as well.
Do you find I'm going to let you go though, but did you find adjusting to the social media side of being an author easy, or is it just something that you have to do?
I think I sort of got published around about the time when Twitter was at its heyday, and I really
Yeah.
loved Twitter for a long time. I loved the kind of joke format, and I'm a little bit sad that we've lost that now. I suppose we have
Yeah.
Threads, but I feel like Threads is different, so I do slightly miss that. Yeah, like we talked about before, I do. It's difficult when people are directly very rude to you on social media. I find
Mm,
that quite strange and hard to deal with. But
yeah.
otherwise,
I'm also
don't really think that it is. I really don't think it is that necessary
uh,
to do it. Not sure how
I
much
got
it is.
no. It's not like say when Twitter was at its heyday when it was good. It's completely different now. I don't think you'll see people online saying you won't get a deal unless you have like 10,000 um followers on whatever social media platform you have. And I'm like, that's just nonsense.
No, that is
I feel like you
nonsense.
just need to ignore half the stuff you see on social media.
Yeah, it's almost like people are so desperate for a publishing deal, and I remember that feeling well. That you just it's almost like doing spells or like mystical things of like if you do this, you get one. If you don't do this, you won't. And that's
Yeah.
not true, really.
No, not at all. I have a very random question before you go, Claire. Because
Mhm.
it's the Winter Olympics, I'm just asking people now. People has been interviewed this week and last week.
Yeah,
Because it's the Winter Olympics. If you could imagine that you could pick any Winter Olympic sport to participate in, which one would you do?
I love the ice skating so much. I can't really skate. They didn't really have any ice rinks in Northern Ireland when I was growing up. There was one, but it was like quite far away. So, and I'm also quite physically uncoordinated, but I love it. It's so beautiful. I'd love to be
Yeah.
able to skate properly.
So Claire McGowan's Olympic event would be figure skating.
Only in a parallel world where I know how to ski.
In
How
our
to skate,
parallel world,
brother. Yeah. Yeah.
my parallel world is speed skating. And
Okay.
also just bobsleigh. I was fascinated by the bobsleigh. I was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I
Fun.
don't know I'll be the person at the back because I'm not even sure what the person at the back does.
Just
They just
push.
got their head down.
Just push and jump.
Yeah, the push and jump. Oh,
Cool.
well, that just leaves me, Claire McGowan, to say thank you so much
Thank
for being
you.
part of the conversation.
Thanks.
Right, Claire, I'm just going to end recording and then I'm going to make sure it uploads. And if it hasn't uploaded, I will just send you a
Do
link.
you mind if
Thank you so much for watching the Conversation podcast. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you'd like to catch up on more conversations, you'll find them linked on your screen now. And you can also listen to the podcast on your favourite platform. See you there. Bye.